welcome to the Patriot Pastor. I'm Anthony McDaniel, pastor of Abundant Life Ministries here in Largo, Florida. This is only our third session, and glad you're here. Listen, share this thing like crazy. I'm looking to get 10,000 followers on YouTube within the first 3 months is my goal. I know that's a big goal, but I need your help to do that. So if you feel like this is good, subscribe it, and then hit on the notifications button so that you get notified of a new video. So tonight's really special because I have a long-term friend with me right now. Pete O'Shea and I did radio 2 years together. He was on radio 9.5 years with WTIS, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. He pretty much made that radio station. I'm just saying. It's really the truth. I don't really care. It's my show. I'm going to say what I want to say. I mean, he really was an outstanding personality on radio. He's funny. He's also smart. I just thought he was funny. I didn't know if he was smart or not, but he's actually smart. There's something going on between the ears there. But and then we also did a really good job connecting with the community and showing up at events, promoting events. So he really built some synergy and some networking within the body of Christ. And so on a spiritual level, that was very serious. I saw not only is he a funny guy, he's actually got some brains, but he understands the power of relationships. And he really pulled a lot of people together. I made some very, very great relationships doing that show. Coming early, people finishing up before I came on, and people coming after me, and then people that we did some shows together with. I met a lot of people. Some of the great people in this county were because of you. And so I just want to give you props and honor, seriously, for you did a lot to help the body of Christ in this area more than probably you get credit for. I know when you get to heaven, God will give you the credit, but just bro to bro, you did a great job, man.
Well, they called me the galvanizer.
Yeah.
Because I would bring everyone together and galvanize them like steel.
This is why I keep him around. I laugh.
I truly appreciate that, and I'm so honored to be here. And I'm the first guest on the show. Although, you could have dressed up a little bit. You brought that from Opie Cunningham. That looks great.
Forever 21.
Yeah, no, it looks good. You ought to buy another one and throw them both out. Did you get a free bowl of soup with that?
This is what we're going to get tonight.
I'm kidding. No, all kidding aside, back to you. You know that you were one of my role models then as far as being a guy that was across the denominational lines. You showed me how to do that. You showed me that, hey, look, Jesus is the center. We can always find middle ground there. And that made it possible. And then the 2 years we were together, the show went through the roof at that point because of you, okay?
Wow.
Because you were popular. Because you're on the Mount Rushmore here at Pinellas Park, okay? You're right up there with the, I won't say the other three names, but you know who they are, all right? But you did, and so it helped a lot, too, with me being able to get other guests and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was really important for both of us and for the kingdom. Yeah. And you, just like you and me, I'm the same as you. I'm going to be obedient to God. If he tells me go talk to that person, go interview that person, go do this, go to that event, I'm going to go. I was doing 60, 80 events a month at the High Line. And it was exhausting, but it was all for the good of the kingdom. We were able to help a lot of people.
No, you really did, man. That's why when I thought about guests, I'm going to bring in guests regularly on this program. Pete, I'd really, unless you really suck, I really plan on having you back.
No pressure.
No, but the funny thing is that a lot of these people, they don't really know me that well. They don't know, they've been really serious the first two sessions, totally serious. Very serious. Yeah, I've been very focused, very serious. So this is another side of me that they haven't seen. But let's talk about our new president. Obviously we're not Biden fans. No. But let me tell you, Pete, this is really serious for me. I thought about this a lot. What I don't want to do with this Patriot Pastor YouTube channel is just talk to the people who agree with us. There's some people that are in this middle ground, or people they have a relationship with Christ, and they didn't vote for Trump maybe because of his style or some of the things he says on Twitter. Feel like he's harsh, and somebody has said he's racist. They've said it so many times that people believe that. When you ask him what has he said he's done that's racist, they really can't find anything. So those kind of people and that middle ground who are Christians, I want to talk to them, and I want to be respectful. We're going to have fun. But what concerns me, let's talk about some facts about just the last week or so about Joe Biden, the executive orders, talk about what he's done. And one of the things you said, he made a comment on the trail about executive orders. What did he say? You reminded me of that.
Yeah, he said about Donald Trump, if a president is running his country by executive order, he's not a president, he's a dictator.
Right.
Okay? And I kind of agree with that statement. Right. I also agree with your statement that most people are in that middle ground.
Yeah.
Look at the pendulum we are as a country.
Yes.
We went all the way to left Obama, all the way to right Trump, all the way back to left Biden. Yeah. And by the last thing they heard or the last thing that's frustrated them, they're going to flip back and forth, most people.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? I understand that. It's a volatile times we live in. But now, Joe Biden has said no to executive orders. That was a big part of his campaign, right?
Yeah.
In the first week that Obama was the president, he had 5 executive orders.
Yeah.
First week that Trump was 6.
Yeah.
First week that Biden was 36. 36 executive orders, which means you're saying I am a dictator because we have 535 members of Congress between the House and the Senate that have been just shut out. The people we sent there to represent us and come up with these laws that he's writing at will, he shut them out also. Right. Yeah. And that's what's frightening because the laws he wrote, the executive orders he wrote, never would have gotten past Congress. And he knew it. That's why he had to do it that way.
We're going to get into the details of some of those things. We're going to talk about that. But this is really important, folks. If you voted for Joe Biden, just from a centrist point of view, and because I don't want to sling mud just to sling mud, this is a very dangerous time. You know, when you say we have 3 branches of government constitutionally, the design was balance of powers, separation of powers.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances. You have the judicial branch, 9 Supreme Court justices. You have the executive branch, the president. Then you have the legislative branch, where you have the Senate, where it's two senators elected from each state, 6-year tenure. And then you have these other House of Representatives is really the House, the people, where it's, we have over 400 of them.
There's 435 congressmen.
435 congressmen.
And it's based on the size of your state, how many people there are.
So basically, these executive orders, in essence, take away the checks and balances of the legislative branch. Because what's happening is a dangerous trend. The international community looks at us and say, man, you're way over here with Trump. Someone said, well, he got rid of the Johnson Amendment. No, he didn't. All he did was basically say through executive order, in my administration, I'm not going to prosecute that.
Correct.
So the legislative branch should be making these big decisions because they represent the people. They're accountable to the people. So this is a bad trend for America.
It's a bad trend for democracy.
Yeah.
We're the leader in democracy in the world. Other smaller countries are trying to be a democracy by our example.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, we're actually not a democracy because that would be everybody gets a vote.
Constitutional republic.
We're a constitutional republic. But these executive orders, specifically some of the big ones, he refunded Planned Parenthood after Trump had stopped all the funding. He gets rid of Title IX. Okay, women's sports are essential to this country.
Wow.
So many young ladies got a scholarship because they had the same rights and advantages to scholarships as boys did.
Right.
The U.S. soccer team would have never won titles without Title IX first.
That's right.
The WNBA would be out of business right now if Title IX had not come into place.
Yeah.
And just by executive order, he wipes that away.
Let's get a clarity on that because, are you telling me, because here's what I know. Here's what I know about one of the executive orders. It basically said that if you are born a biological male, you can now compete with biological females if you identify as a biological female. So I will tell you, my oldest daughter, Olivia, that you know well, she played college soccer. She played Clearwater Chargers here locally. She started out with the Largo back in the Wolves. In other words, she played
her whole life
soccer. Very good. I'm telling you right now, I'd be blowing a gasket with the other fathers and mothers on the team saying, no, we are not. She's not playing against that guy out there who's claiming to be. And you know what, folks? You better find your backbone, and people need to stand up and say, no, this is not justice. This is injustice.
Does he get to change in the same locker room also?
Right.
Okay, what Title IX was, though, is that it meant that if you have 85 football scholarships, you've got to offer the same amount of scholarships to women for their sports.
Right.
Well, removing that means that they don't get those scholarships now. Those girls don't get that education.
Not cool.
It's not cool. Refunding Planned Parenthood, $550 million a year that is spent, our money, without our decisions, killing babies.
Wow.
Okay? Trump said, no, I'm not going to have it.
Yeah.
The day he gets in office, he spins it back the other way. He was sitting there with that red-hot pen, Joe Biden, ready to come. And I'm not against either side, okay?
No,
I'm not picking teams here.
No.
I'll stay right in the middle for this conversation.
Right.
You can't just come out and just start writing up everything you don't like and throwing it all away.
No, exactly right. I mean,
that's not a presidency.
No, exactly right. Even going back to Title IX, I mean, this is huge, man. This is huge. And I will tell you, I believe that this kind of leadership from the White House is going to backfire on him because people are paying attention. We don't want to be mean-spirited. For example, that transgender that I was talking about. I think as loving citizens who genuinely care about it, if you really try to understand somebody, say, okay, what's going on? Well, they say, well, I always identified as a female my whole life. I never really identified as a male. It was always uncomfortable. Okay, let's listen to you. Let's deal with that gender confusion. I think simplistic answers are not good. And I think Christians are notorious for that.
Sure, making a broad stroke does not get the job done. That's requires an individual response. So it should not be legislated. Just the same as hate crime should not be legislated. What's in somebody's heart, it needs to be dealt with. As a pastor, you need to deal with it and help the people, but the legislation should be staying out of that stuff.
And the reason why I'm saying this piece, some people who know me well, they want me to blast on this, but listen, we're not going to gain ground on this. If we come across as mean-spirited about transgender, lesbian, gay, bisexual, LGBT, transgender, queer, and all the other plus, if we're mean-spirited, people are not listening to us. But what they're doing with this thing, what they're saying, hey, no, you identify as a female, even though you're biologically male, you can compete with females. That is not a good solution.
Bottom line is, at the end of the day, everybody has the right to do what they want. It's their body, their life, okay? Everybody's got, my dad used to always say to me, everybody's got to do what they think is right. And our job is to love that person unconditionally, no matter what. Okay, and there should be no portion of legislation involved in that. Same thing with marriage or anything else. Don't legislate the things that life takes care of, that pastors take care of. I don't need you to do that for me, Joe Biden. Keep the army going. Stay out of the economy. Stay out of all the things that, The fundamental difference between the two parties, you and I have always seen the same. The Republicans want to keep a small government. The Democrats want a huge government. The Democrats want to tax. The Republicans want a tax cut. The Republicans are not for abortion. They are against abortion. The Democrats are for it. That's, to me, the driving line right there. I don't care about anything else. I'm pro-life. Okay, 7 people in a courtroom one day voted to make it legal in this country to be abortion to be legal. 60 million plus have suffered for that. The worst, fuzziest mass I've ever seen. And if you go back and look at the transcripts of Roe versus Wade, they were given a bull of lies. Everything they were told by even the doctors was absolutely untrue. The baby doesn't feel anything, this and that. All untrue.
It's true.
All untrue.
No, you're exactly right. We talked about that on the radio. So let's spend a little time there. We talked about Title IX. Let's talk about Biden now funding Planned Parenthood again. Let's talk about Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. And you, quite frankly, you educated me a lot on that on the radio programs. We did some of those programs. Tell us about her.
She started that organization because she was a racist, because she wanted to get rid of the inferior races.
The weeds.
The weeds.
She called them weeds. Black people, she called them the weeds.
I have so many friends, dear friends who I love so much who are black people. It hurts my heart to hear that that's what she would think of them. And that she would go to such great lengths to start an organization within our government, get it funded, with the whole idea of alienating what she called the weeds. Okay, again, how does that have anything to do with what our federal government is doing? Planned Parenthood's job is to fund abortions and to beat down on minorities.
Pretty much.
That's it. That's what they're there for.
And so why we're bringing this up is there's a slavish devotion by the black community for the Democratic Party. But the Democratic Party, one of their key platforms is this Planned Parenthood and the abortion thing. So think about it, folks, especially if you have black friends. If you're African American, I usually don't say the prefixes. I don't like prefixes African American. I say that when I'm really trying to be sensitive, because I say black, white. My wife gets on to me because I call them blacks. I refer black. The blacks are doing this now. And I say, I call the whites. I'm not being. But the point is, I want to be respectful. So there's a lot of African Americans who just feel like the Democrats are there for us. They're giving us money. No. They're giving you money to create enslavement and to create a victim mentality so they can keep you on the take.
Here's what you always have to understand. Anytime the government gives you money, whether it's welfare or now it's stimulus packages, it never comes without conditions. It's never actually a handout, it's a loan.
That's right.
One way or another, you're going to pay it back.
That's right.
The stimulus that we all got, they can't just go print money at the Treasury. So guess what? In 2 years from now, you're going to get taxed that exact same amount back.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what people have to understand. Our government isn't just sitting there throwing out money at you, okay? No, There's always a price to pay. If it isn't financial, they will exact a price out of you.
Exactly right.
And their job, the federal government, especially seems these days,
Right.
is to put the thumb down on everybody
Right.
and keep everybody scared, divided, and needy.
Oh yeah, and I said this some time ago. I don't know if it was my first broadcast for Patriot Pastor, but there's the black community has a slavish devotion to the Democratic Party, and you have Margaret Sanger, a known racist, who started Planned Parenthood, which is a key part of their platform, protect women's productive rights. When it's really what we're saying is we're going to kill black babies because that's the number one demographic that is touched by abortion is black babies.
52%.
52%. I didn't know that.
That's what I saw
Of
recently.
all abortions?
Of all abortions.
So here's the deal. The black community is what, 13, 14% of the population?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is a ridiculously a major amount of black babies are being killed, and it's supposedly a favor? If you really listen, if the result of Republicans and conservatives like us, if they did what we're espousing, they would have the numbers, the voting numbers. If we genuinely were racist and we didn't care and we just want to keep people down, because I'm a Republican, big Trump supporter. I'm not ashamed of it. I did the session to Don't Be Ashamed to Be a Trump supporter. If we were really racist, we would be pro-Planned Parenthood. Take the weeds out.
Yeah.
Take the weeds out, but we're not.
We're very much anti.
The Democrats, they are for taking the weeds out. We're calling black people the weeds. So think about it just for a moment here. We want you to have your babies. Now, if we were worried about it, we'd say, no. We don't want it. We don't want them having babies because that's more votes. They'll take over. I'm not worried about them taking over. I'm worried about, you know what I'm worried about? I'm worried about pleasing God and doing the right thing. You know what we should do? We should have a video of an abortion put all over social media and say, this is what you voted for. We should put a partial birth abortion on social media and say, this is what Barack Obama defended more than any other senator. How would that go?
I think it would be powerful to see because, listen, God doesn't make junk. So if there's a child in a womb, that means God sent that child here for a reason. That could be the child that cures cancer or solves world peace or whatever, okay? Now, there was a smoking gun. There were 7 videos that somebody had gone undercover when Planned Parenthood was really rolling up.
Yes.
And those videos got out.
Yes.
But it made very little impact.
Right.
People didn't want to see it. People were afraid to look at it. Everybody played ostrich and stuck their head in the sand, okay? And that's what we've done with everything. It's what we've done with the pandemic. Let me ask you this question straight out. If COVID-19 had not hit, don't you believe Trump would have won in a landslide?
Totally.
So they blamed him for his response to it, but no president could have gotten it right.
Yeah, no.
Okay? Nobody could have gotten it right.
No.
There was no way you could have got it right. And listen, if that idiots in Seattle, when the first guy showed up, if they had kept him in the hospital, this wouldn't have spread. The first one guy came back from Wuhan, went to Seattle. They sent him home.
I thought you were going to talk about the riots. Boy, Seattle's got a bad thing going on. They're the ones that bring COVID to America and all the riot. Wow.
And then the first 20 deaths or something were all in a nursing home in Kirkland, Washington.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And who also lives in that area?
Wow.
Billy Gates, huh?
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, who wants this vaccine? Because what else is going to be in this vaccine besides a vaccine?
That's amazing.
Okay, so this is starting to look like New World Order here, brother.
Yeah,
okay? And this had nothing to do whether Trump was a jerk or not. You know I'm not a huge fan of his. I think he's obnoxious at times. I think he says hurtful stuff.
Yeah.
But I am a Republican, so I did vote for him, okay?
That's fair.
Right?
Just to interrupt you, that's fair. I think that earns you a lot of credibility with people because I'm not one to excuse anything he's done or said that's rude, disrespectful, or sinful. But we had 2 choices.
We had 2 choices.
That's it.
Okay, and so I chose the Republican Party, not necessarily the candidate. I chose the Republican Party. But having said that, nobody vote has down the line principle. Everybody flip-flops. We go back and forth. Look at the numbers, especially right here in Florida. Obama wins big, then Trump wins big, then Biden wins big. Hey, come on, guys. Pick a team and stay with that team, good or bad. Again, I thought Trump said some really stupid things. Not hurtful.
Sure.
I don't go for that. Don't hurt people.
No, I'm with you.
But again, he did do a lot of good as a president.
Oh, Lord.
It was finally good. One of the reasons why he went down was because he was doing what he said he was going to do. He went there to drain that swamp. He was an outsider, a businessman running it like a business instead of a politician, and he was actually getting somewhere. And if he was allowed to continue, he would have exposed what they've been doing for 30 years. To me, the evil is not Joe Biden. It's Pelosi.
Wow.
And Schumer. Those 2 are the evil ones. I know Chuck Schumer very well. I'm back in the day when he was a congressman in New York. I know before he even ran for Senate.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like this and like this. You know what I mean? Chuck, if you listen, you know yourself. You're a little wishy-washy. Not always there. Those two to me are the evil. Okay.
Wow.
Pelosi lives in California. She's got this as her only job, yet she's worth all these millions. Where'd the money come from, Nancy? Show me.
Right.
Let me see your checkbook for a minute, Nancy.
Yeah, that's the thing about Trump.
And that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what Trump had planned in his second term.
Yeah.
He was going to put it all out there.
Yeah.
Okay? What did Hunter Biden do with the Chinese? I would love to know. If we have all this information, why isn't it out yet?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Let's talk about more of these executive orders.
Okay.
You talked about refunding Planned Parenthood was the executive order. Getting rid of Title IX. Did he really get rid of Title IX? Or basically, in essence, attacked it by empowering or allowing guys to come in. So basically, the gender confusion.
It's also really hard to understand the language that comes. In these executive orders, he makes it ambiguous on purpose, so you can't really figure it out.
Right.
But that's the interpretation many people have, is that Title IX will go down.
Wow.
Okay, another big one that he did was the Keystone Pipeline.
That was really bad.
Okay, so just like that, by executive order, with no one else having to say it at all, 157,000 people lost their jobs, and we moved that much closer back to being energy dependent on the Middle East.
See, that right there was one of the huge victories of the Donald Trump administration. For the first time in many, many years, maybe ever, we were energy independent.
We had a surplus.
Yes.
We had extra.
And the reason why we had these wars in the Middle East
is about oil.
Is about oil. So they're not getting our money. It's not funding radical Islamic extremism. And they're struggling, and we're in a position where we don't need you as much. That's not as much of an interest for us. So that was a key international policy. And when Biden does stuff like that, you can say it's all about the environment, but it sounds like to me he wants to create this new world order. And I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I'm just talking about real money. He's really now funding the money back into the Middle East and other areas. I mean,
and China, and Russia. Okay, they weren't getting our oil dollar during Trump's presidency, and they did not like it. Yeah. They had no trouble saying it out loud.
No wonder they didn't like it.
Okay, not only that, Trump made them play fair on trade deals. For the last 25 years, Chinese have been beating us up on trade deals because we owe them money.
Right.
All right, because the United States can't pay their credit card bill on time, is what it all comes down to. Yeah. We have not been out of debt in this country since the Civil War. Did you know only one president, only one, ran this country where it did not have an actual debt? And I'm not saying he balanced his budget. I mean, there was no debt at all.
Wow.
Only one, Andrew Jackson. So because we owe them money, because the Chinese and the Japanese keep buying up T-bills, because they know we never pay on time, so the interest keeps accruing, and when they do finally get paid, they get a huge payout.
Wow.
So now we've all been bending to them. Yeah. Trump said enough is enough. I'm not going to bend to your will anymore. Right. We're going to go ahead and produce our own oil right here in this country and get you off our back. And guess what? Did we hear a lot about terrorism in the Middle East during his administration?
Nothing.
Did we hear about, because we separated.
We took the money away from them. We're not funding it.
We took ourselves out of it.
Yes.
2 days into office, he reverses the whole thing without another person having a say in the matter. Anthony, that's the thing that drives me crazy about it the most. If it's the will of the people, that's one thing. Yeah. If it's the will of the Congress, I have to accept that. But one guy gets to decide that and turns around an entire policy that helped this country?
Yeah. No, it's true, man. Well, I want to keep it around 25 minutes tonight, and we can go on. I don't want to wear you out. We try to keep our segments not too long. I've personally enjoyed Pete O'Shea coming on. It's really good stuff. Help me share this, by the way. We are on Rumble, okay? Tell your friends who've kind of like pulled out of the main platforms. Tell them we're on Rumble, okay? Just look for the Patriot Pastor there. If you want to know, I think it's formerly under the Patriot Pastor 1776. That's the full deal, because there's a bunch of...
That was the year I was born, 1776. I go back a way.
You're looking good, bro.
I was the waiter at the Last Supper.
We're going to have Pete back because we need to laugh, because when I'm in here by myself, I get real serious. So I need to laugh a little bit. So there's so much we can say more about the executive orders, but it's a bad precedent because now he's doing too much from the executive branch. Another president comes in, it's just this big, big shift in policy, too big. And the legislative branch, that is their job to do that.
We became independent in 1776. I'm glad you brought that up. It wasn't until 83 that we started our government, because they took 7 years to sit down and make sure they got it right. to work on a democracy that
hammer
had
out that
checks and
Constitution.
balances.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
you've removed all of that in one shot. Georgie Washington, Johnny Adams, and Tommy Jefferson are flinging over in their graves right now, watching him ruin democracy.
No, that's exactly
it's
right.
not even about the policy so much. It's the fact that you're absolutely circumventing democracy.
No, it's really true. So we're going to end it there, okay? Share this stuff. Help me get those followers. We're going to have some stuff. It's going to be interesting stuff every week. We're hopefully going to take the quality up and make it more interesting and engage on stuff that needs to be talked about. So listen, glad you tuned in today. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, The Patriot Pastor. Thanks for tuning in.